could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello, everyone. Today we're meeting Edwin Carrion. He is an entrepreneur, investor, and a mentor. Hello, Edwin. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Anna, thank you for having me here. And to everybody listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Get ready for an amazing podcast.
Thank you. So let's start a conversation by diving into your journey of becoming the person you are today. What led you to discover your true passion in life? How did it start for you?
True passion. I don't know. It took time. When I started into entrepreneurship and when I started doing the things that I do now, um, I didn't think of it as a passion. I just knew it was something that I liked doing. But as you get older and with time, you realize that those are the things that you love to do and you don't see them as working. So when you're doing something that you love to do and not because you have to do it, then it becomes a passion. And that's how I discovered that, doing all the things that I do, it's part of a passion of mine.
Wow. Yes, like right now nowadays, a lot of people work in 9 to 5 and they don't feel that excitement, that fulfillment, and something is missing. And they always thinking about breaking from 9 to 5 cycle to start their own companies. What would be your advice for those who would like to transition from being an employee to being entrepreneur?
I think you have to, as an employee, it's not bad to be an employee. And I always tell that people because a lot of employees think that they're building somebody else's dream. But what they have to start looking at is like they're getting paid to learn the knowledge and the skills that they could use in the future to become their own, to have their own business for them to become an entrepreneur. So while you're an employee, take advantage as much as you can, become the best person that you can, get involved in all aspects of the business so you really understand what it takes to run a company without you having to put money up front and without you having to make the investment on it. Learn as much as you can, figure out how each department works, find a skill that you're going to be really good at, and use that to monetize when you start your own business and when you go out on your own.
Yes, and I think it's hard for people to really start first with making that time. After they finish their job, they always feel overwhelmed, tired. They don't have that desire. But then again, we also have time, like free time every day, where we can start building something on the side. And eventually it can, provide us the opportunity to transition, but it's hard to really like juggle both at the beginning. But like you said, if you realize that you're not really building your own dream but somebody else's dream, and with time, when time goes on, nothing will change until you have to change something that you do in everyday life. You have to create that time. And in the beginning, it could be too much for you in terms of like you feeling you're too tired, but then you know why you're doing that. It always has to be the why behind it. You always have to look at it as a long-term investment. You invest in your time, effort into building something substantial, because that's what matters, don't you think?
Definitely, yes, of course. And you have to start valuing your time along with everything that you said right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And I know you also mentor the top performing people in your industry. What are the habits that you've noticed that they acquired along the way to become those type of people that could execute something in their life that will last as a legacy?
A lot of the things that that a lot of the top performing entrepreneurs use, it's time management skills, becoming self-aware of who they are and the type of person that they want to become. And the most important thing I think is understanding and really knowing where do you want to go. A lot of people don't know where they want to go. They get into entrepreneurship just because that's something that they always thought of, that's something they always wanted to. but they don't have a really clear path of where they want to go and when they want to get there.
Mm. Yes, I think first you need to understand what is it that you want. You have to be clear on that. And with knowing exactly where you want to be, you have to create a plan, take those steps toward the direction of your desire, of your goal. But, sometimes we underestimate how much could be done within a year. If you taking those consistent steps every single day, intentionally, knowing that this is where you're going, eventually in a year, 3 years from today, you could be in a different place. Don't you
Yes.
think?
Oh, definitely. Consistency is the key. And I always say a lot of people nowadays, what they're looking for is they're looking for those immediate results, quick results. I want to be a millionaire quick, the quick get rich schemes that you call it. And the way we have to look at things is that everything takes time. And I got used to looking at things as a long-term result, meaning as a developer that I understand that it's going to take a year or 18 months for me to start a project, finish a project, and get rid of it and sell it. And that's where I'm going to make my big profits. So I'm okay with delayed gratification. And I think as an entrepreneur, you need to understand and you need to change your mindset and understand that you're going to get paid at the end. Delayed gratification is good because the consistency that you put day in and day out is going to pay off eventually. Just like when you start working out, the more that you work out, the more consistent you are, then the more results you're going to get. If you only go to the gym for 30 days, you're not going to see results, right? And a lot of people quit because they want the instant gratification.
Yes, and nothing is done overnight. It will take time and effort on your part, but eventually you will see yourself succeeding. And also, like people have this fear of failure, and they even afraid starting something because, again, they want something quick. They want to see result right away. And sometimes you go to some kind of attempts of to be successful and maybe something doesn't work out, and perhaps it's redirecting you to a different path that you're supposed to take, or some kind of opportunities open up for you, but without you taking any action, nothing will happen. It's you who have to start executing, because it's not only about wanting and thinking about it, but the most important part is taking that action.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Um, a lot of people, like you mentioned, they have the fear of failure. And it's okay to fail. That one of the things that I could tell you from personal experience, that it's okay to fail. The more you fail, the better it's going to be. Why? Because as long as you're smart enough and you use those failures as learning lessons for anything that you do in the future, they're going to definitely help you out. And if you want to cut that learning curve, if you want to cut that failure curve as much as possible, the best thing that you could ever do is hire a good mentor, a mentor that has had those failures, so like that they could advise you into what were the failures and what were their mistakes, so your failure doesn't become as big as your mentor, because you are going to have the failures regardless, but they're not going to be as big as they were before when you did not have somebody to guide you through.
Yeah, I think that guidance, the mentorship is very valuable, and you are investing in your self-development, and that will bring you a big return on that investment in terms of really understanding
Yes.
how and what steps you should take that will maybe create like a shortcut for you, even though you still gonna fail, like you said, and that's okay. But with that, learning lessons from somebody who've been through what you are going through right now, they know exactly how to advise you, how to guide you, so it's not as painful for you. So I think it's something a lot of people don't consider, but it's very valuable, and it's worth looking into. And there are people who are experts in different field of industry. If you find a person that really resonates with you, who speak in your language, right? So who understands what you're going through. This is somebody who will really help you to get where you want to be in a short period of time, so you don't have to go through all those struggles on your own.
Yes, no, definitely, most definitely. And I like what you said. You said that you use the word investing in yourself, right?
Yeah.
And it's extremely important that people understand that when you hire a mentor, you're not paying somebody money, you're not spending money. What you're doing is you're investing in yourself.
Right.
And as an entrepreneur, as a person, as a human being, you are your biggest asset.
Mhm.
And just like we spend money into having a nice car, having a nice house, having nice watches, we have to make sure that we spend the same amount of money into really in ourselves. So like that, we can always become the better versions of ourselves.
Yes, definitely. And this is something nowadays I think it's becoming more available. So every one of us can reach out and find that person. And uh, if you had the opportunity to talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell to yourself?
If I had the opportunity of talking to my 18-year-old self, I will tell him, keep doing everything you did the same way you did it. Don't change anything. And that's what I will tell him because I am where I am because of all the things that I've gone through, all the mistakes that I made in my life, all the great things that have happened in my life. So therefore, I will tell him just do everything you did the same way.
That sounds like, we all looking back in our life and seeing what we've been through. Sometimes we getting caught up in the moment and not understanding that, this is something valuable for us to learn. This is something that's, making us stronger. But as we looking back, we understand why we've been through this. And those lessons were something that we needed to go through to become the person we are today. And of course, it could have been different, but we still have to embrace that as part of you know, our identity, our personality, and something that we really developed as a result of going through hard things, through struggles, through failures. And I think with your example, it's very inspirational for others to know that it's possible, because we're always looking for the evidence. How would I know if I can make it,
Yes.
But again, like knowing that other people did it, you have that example, but you have to go through certain steps to show yourself that you have all the abilities, all the skills. I believe all of us have something unique within ourselves that we can share with others in service of others.
Yes. No, definitely, definitely we can. And I think and I thank you for what you said, with my example and everything else. It's we all could live the life that we want. We all could live our life by design, like I call it. And in order for us to be able to do that, we just kind of need to have that clarity in our lives of exactly what is it that we want for ourselves, what is it that we want for our kids, what is it that we want for our family, what kind of life do I want to live? But I think most importantly, out of all of this, I think is really going back into looking at ourselves when we were kids and what were the dreams that we had when we were kids that we left behind. Because as we become older, as we become an adult and responsibility starts to stack up, then we say, you know what? I wanted to travel a lot as a kid, but now because I'm an adult, I can't do that. And that is you putting yourself that limiting belief that you can't do that. And you're forgetting about that childhood dream instead of figuring out, okay, you know what? I want to be able to travel. So what can I do in order for me to be able to travel like I always dreamed of?
Mm. Yeah, I think that's important because it's easy to, get busy with life and really put aside our dreams and desires. But then it's all comes back to, feeling what is it that we want to feel in our life? What is it that is missing that I didn't really fulfill or didn't have time to explore and give myself that, self-care that I needed? What would give me that joy and excitement? Because that's what's life about, right? So it's
Yes.
not all about working and being successful is important, right, for you and your family, but also how is it that you feel along the way? It's all about you enjoying this process, and everything comes as a balance. I know you are a person of balance, and you know how to um, combine both family, work, travel time. And for those who are struggling with it, what would you advise them? How can you create that balanced life so you can enjoy it?
Okay, so before I answer that one question, let's go back just a little bit into what you said, which is not everybody has to be successful, right? And I think what you meant to say is about the money issue, right? Not
Right.
everybody needs to have all the money. And I truly believe that it's not all about the money,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really about being successful in your own way. And what I mean becoming successful in your own way, meaning that if you're content enough with having a nice little house and a nice car that is reliable, and you're able to take vacations and do all the things that you want, then that you have achieved success, because that's the success that you wanted to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but in another terms, is that level of success giving you all the things that you dreamed of, that you always wanted to. And,
Right.
and it's very important to understand that success doesn't mean that I have $1 million or $10 million or $100 million in my bank account. Success means different things in different stages of life. But I think, to me, the most important thing, part of success, it's being able to do what you want, when you want, how you want it. Having the life by design, like I talked a minute ago. And with that success comes having that balanced life, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask me, how am I able to juggle multiple multi-million-dollar companies and still have a balanced life? And one of the things that I was taught early on was to set boundaries,
Mm.
have those boundaries set in place, because the moment that you set boundaries for everything in your life, things will start to become better. You're able to manage your time and value your time a lot more. So how do I set boundaries? My boundaries is that from 9 to 5 is my work time, and I get
Mhm.
to do everything and anything that I want to do during 9 to 5. See, right now I want to go get a haircut. It's my free time. I call it my free time,
Yeah.
and I'm able to go get a haircut. I'm able to go talk to a friend. I'm able to get on a podcast and share my experience with you. So that's my 9 to 5. This is my boundary, 9 to 5.
Mm.
5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is my family time. And that's
Mm.
family time. And yes, sometimes I have to deviate from that boundary because there might be something that I have to take care of, or there might be an emergency. But when that comes around, I make sure that I offset that time that I lost on the next day with
Mhm.
time of my playtime, so I could recoup that time with them.
Yes. Right. Yeah, it's important to set boundaries and really creating that schedule, knowing that I'm dedicated to be present here now, first with my business, then with my family, and you can really you know, overlap, because sometimes people think doing multiple things at the same time, or like juggling, it could be something that will create a better result, but it's not usually the case. If you losing your focus and your presence with one person at a time, with one thing at a time, you're not really as productive. You
No,
think you can do it at the same time doing multiple things, but it's not giving you the same result, right?
no, definitely. It's putting that example that, if you train, if you work out half of the time here, half of the time there, half
Mhm.
of the time there, are you going to be better as working out and just going in there and giving it your 110% to one thing? No, it's going to be very different. And it's the same thing for work, and it's the same thing for life, and for relationships and everything else that you name it. And the more that we focus into one thing, the better results we're going to get. In order for me to be able to manage multiple companies, I have to focus on one. And then when I'm done with that one task or that one important thing of that day, then I go to the next one and the next one and the next one. But if I try to juggle all of them at the same time, then I personally
Mhm.
become crazy because I'm like, oh, I need a break, and I become overwhelmed. And that's what happens to a lot of people, that we become overwhelmed and,
Right.
we burn out. And we don't
Yes.
want to burn out. We want to continue enjoying the ride.
Course. And first, we need to see if we are in the position to give our best self, our focus, our presence at one thing, one person at a time, here, now. If not, what do we need personally to recharge ourselves, to give ourselves that care? And that's also important. A lot of people think it's being selfish, focusing on what you need. But I think it's essential. And we also have to prioritize our time, me time, not
Yes,
only giving yourself to other people. As of course, I want to be of service, but if the cup is empty, how can I be somebody who is filling other people's cup, right?
exactly. How can you be a person of value uh, if you're not, if you don't value yourself? In order to really be a good person of value, you have to value yourself. And the more you value yourself, the more you're able to give to others. And that's why, like, the best example that I could put with this is when you go on an airplane, when you're flying, you
Mm,
always hear the flight attendant tells you, when the mask comes down, put the
yeah,
mask on yourself first before you put it to anybody else.
right.
Because if you don't take care of yourself first, you can't take care of other people. And people have this wrong mentality that, oh, I want to start a business because I want to help all these people. And it's not about that. It's about figuring out what's in it for you first, what's in it for me
Mhm.
first, and then what can I give that and how can I add value to everybody else along with that?
Right. So it still has to be a win-win situation for everybody involved. So it's important to understand what are your values. I know you have three core main values that came from
Oh,
you serving for. All
no,
right.
no, three from
So
serving. You were right. Three from
yes, you
serving.
were
Yes.
serving in Marine, right? And I
Yes,
want
ma'am.
you to go over what are your main values and why are they important to you?
Yes. I think in life and in business, we have to live by a set of rules, right? That are going to define the person that we are. We have to live by a set of values. And when I started into entrepreneurship, I understood that we needed to set values so everybody understand what the values of the companies are, what we want to do. And I started with like a list of like 10, 15 values. And then once I had, as we went on, I would ask my employees, like, tell me the company values. And like they only knew like the first three or the first four. Then
Mm,
I figure out that when you have too many values, people don't really understand and they're not going to grasp that and they're not going to become part of them. So
mhm,
then with time, I had to figure out, okay, how do I want my life to be? How do I want my businesses to be? And how do I want people to always remember how we do things?
mhm,
And I had to shrink those values into four main ones that, even though there are only four, it means so much in everything else. And the first one starts with faith.
mhm,
Why faith? Because I'm a believer of God, I'm Christian. So I believe in God so much, and He has gotten me through so much. And I am where I am because of God. And I always call myself a God-made millionaire because of that. That understanding that I was made as an equal image of Him and having such a strong faith in Him, I also have to have the same faith in me. So I
yeah,
embrace and I make sure that all my employees and all the people that I'm surrounded, that I understand that because I believe in Him, I believe in myself so much, and I want everybody else to believe in themselves. Because in order for us to be successful in any kind of way, we have to make sure that we believe in ourselves. So it
yeah,
starts with faith. The second one is honor, courage, commitment, and those three values I really got. I got ingrained as I was growing up with my family, with my mom, but didn't understand what the real name was: the honor, the courage, the
mhm,
commitment. But when I went into the military, the Marines, those are the three main core values of the Marines. And they mean so much, right? Honor. Do everything and anything that you do it with honor. Um, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. That's what pretty much it means. Uh,
mhm,
commitment. Be committed to what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you say. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you're going to be somewhere, be somewhere. Be a person of word. Have your word. Keep your word.
Mhm.
And courage means that sometimes we're going to be afraid of doing things, of failure. We're going to be afraid of taking risks. But if we have the courage to do something, if we want to do something, we do it with courage. If we're afraid of a roller coaster, let's take the courage and let's do it. Let's have that. Because at the end of the day, there's only two outcomes that you could have from anything that you do in life. You could either have fear or you could have excitement. And, I choose excitement every single day out of anything.
Yes, I think it's important for us to really get connected with our core values and stand by them and always practice them with everything that we do. So we have to embody those values to be a person of integrity in order to be successful in life in all areas, in relationship and business, and everything comes back to your true nature, who you are. And thank you for mentioning your main values. And I think it's very important for us to really ask ourselves, what are my values and why are they important to me, and how I can integrate them in my own life and be intentional about it. Because people always, see what you do, not what you say, and it has
Yes.
to align with everything that you do in life. Because there's always, we see around us misalignment, and it all comes back to who we are. And we need to really take it seriously and first to reconnect with our true self.
Yes, no, and I love what you said, because as a father, I really needed to learn that kids are not doing what you tell them to do, but
Yeah,
they're doing what you do.
right.
And it's true, it's extremely amazing to see how that relates into real life, right? Into your customers,
Mhm.
into your employees, into everybody else, because they see that example of you just not talking, but is walking and doing what you want them to do. And they will do because you're able to do the same thing. And that's what true leadership is all about. Is being able to do what you say you want them to do.
Right. So we have to set an example by doing what we're asking people to do, not
Yes.
just giving commands and, making somebody do something we're not willing to do. It's not a leadership. It's being a boss versus being a leader, right? So
Yes.
that's
And, and,
something.
and and to me, I love that part because I'm very like, it brings a lot of like joy to my heart knowing that part, that I have a lot of employees that have stayed with me for so many years. And it's because the way that I treat them, because they understand that I treat them the right way
Mhm.
versus them doing, and they do things for me because of love versus they do things for me because they work for me and they're there for that paycheck.
Yes, I think to grow a culture within a company, people have to really realign with your values. To in order to serve fully, they have to feel something like a purpose of why they doing that, right? It's not only about them uh, getting that paycheck, but it should be something that's standing behind of what they doing and why are they doing that. And with you really setting the right intention, the way you show leadership in the company, this is how they understand who you are and connect to you as a human being. I think a lot of times we lose that human touch when we really managing people, organization, and being a leader. And sometimes people decide to quit just because they don't feel anything. Why are they here in the first place, right? It has to
Exactly.
create a culture, a community, like a family, right? So you have to feel close to that person, and why would you do something for that person?
Yes, yes, definitely. Culture is a huge thing nowadays, and understanding that employees are with you not just because of money, but
Mm-hmm.
because of something else that they could get out of that community. They could get something else out of being part of that company or the future growth of that person within that company. It's a huge difference versus just monetary at the beginning. People are looking for more than that nowadays.
Yes, and everybody wants to feel that they value, right? So they want to feel appreciated. And that's something that's missing aspect in a lot of organization. And I think you are doing a great job cultivating that in your companies. And
Thank
also, for
you.
those who would like to connect with you on a mentorship note that you mentioned that you are doing this work to help other entrepreneurs to reach the next level in their companies and guide them, how would people find you and what kind of program you offer?
Okay, so um, everybody could find me on my social media channels, Edwin Carrion 78. You can find me on my website, edwincarrion.com. One of the things that I will always tell you is that if you ever have a question, if you ever have a problem, reach out to me, send a message. I personally respond to all those messages because it goes back into what I was saying. I love building those relationships with people. I have not grown to the point, and I'm not looking to grow to the point where I have millions of followers, because that's not my intention, because it still gives me time to continue being grounded, humble, and being able to reply to people. So always looking for that. So don't be afraid of reaching out. The second thing I will say, that if you are an entrepreneur that are looking to scale your business to 7 or 8 figures, I'm the person to help you out with that, because I have scaled multiple companies, as you know, and that's what I love to do. I love to teach entrepreneurs how to take their business, their hustle, and really make it a business, and where they were able to have a real life and be able to start putting process systems in place and have the balance in life. But the
Mhm.
last thing I will leave you with is that if you want to learn how to have a successful life, a successful business, I'll give you a free copy of my book, which is, if you go to my site, my9secrets.com, you're able to get a free copy of that book.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to also add it in the show notes as well. And as we close today, what would be the thought for our listeners?
The thought for your listeners will be, if you don't know where you're going, you will eventually get there.
All right. Thank you. I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.